Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Alex Bucklew. This is my partner, Jonathan McAdory. We actually have two partners that could not join us today because they're in Idaho, Alan Mixon and Thomas Black. So we're SimpleScript, and I'm going to ask everybody a rhetorical question real quick. Have you ever been to the pharmacy to pick up medications and walk out feeling like you may have been robbed? All right. Well, would you like to save some money? That you can do it today with SimpleScript. 24% of American adults who take medications say they have a difficult time affording it. 35% take 4 or more medications, so you can imagine how much this might actually cost any individual. So to, I guess, further extrapolate on the number, over 50% of American adults take at least 1 prescription a day. So this is a humongous number of people who are struggling to pay for their medications. Luckily, there have been some innovations in the pharmaceutical world where people can find deals to better afford their medications. Most people here have probably heard of GoodRx. They are a drug discount card. Most people have not heard of the other ones. SimpleScript has looked at the data from all of them. There are over a dozen of them, but there are 5 that work and add value. So you have GoodRx, BuzzRx, WellRx, Single Care, and Hippo. If you look at the lines, you'll see that GoodRx's number is way up there. They're making about $800 million a year in revenue. This industry is growing extremely fast. By the year 2032, it's projected to be a $35 billion market. So these other ones are way behind GoodRx, but GoodRx is publicly traded, the other ones are not, and I want to show you something else. So GoodRx has a 27.5% win rate. So we have run the numbers, and what we term win rate means whatever card offers the best deal on a given medication. So if you look here, you'll see that 72.5% of the time, a different card has a lower cost for a medication than GoodRx. The problem is people don't know about these other cards. And then on top of that, it's not even just the lack of knowledge. It's if somebody did know all 5 of these discount cards, you have to compare the drugs, compare the cards, and then look and see, well, what pharmacies are in my area and where do they have the best deal? Because one drug has a different cost for a different card at every different pharmacy. That's where SimpleScript comes in, and I'm going to pass it to my partner, John. He's going to show you a little demo.
All right, so whenever you go to put in your drugs on the website, it's as simple as keying in the name by brand or generic. In this example, we got a price alert. This will come up later on. This is just for select drugs. In this case, this drug is often cheaper over the counter. Once you get your drugs entered in, it's sort of like an Amazon basket. We are the only site that allows you to parse multiple drugs at once. You key in your location. In this example, it's here. And then you will go automatically to this balance screen. That'll be the default setting. And what we do is we give our patients 3 options between fast, what's my closest pharmacy, and then what is balanced is what is my best one pharmacy, and then cheap is where is the absolute best deal on a given drug, regardless of how much you have to move around if you want to do more legwork. And there we go. You can see the total cost savings by willing to do a little bit more legwork, depending on the drugs you get, can significantly pay off. This is just a further look inside the basket, and this is really what we do. So once you have your site selected, it will show you the store, your route. We're working on filters for hours of operation, drive-through availability, things like that. But it will actually show you which card you need to use at which place, and it will show you how much you spend, how much you save, and these are what they look like when you get into them. And this is going back to our Flonase example. In the last slide, it was $14. Here, it's $11. Walmart's a big culprit of this. It's actually better to get drugs off the shelf a lot of times. These are just another way to save money. It's a pharmacist trick. A lot of combination drugs are actually cheaper when you get your doctor or pharmacist to split them into individual components. In this case, it saves about $62. Same with drugs that are filled in uncommon strength. This is 30 tablets of a 200, but when you fill it with 60 of a 100, you can save about $100. We're constantly building features and thinking of ways to help users. One is a Spanish mode, another is a tutorial heavy mode, and some of the features that we mentioned about filter options. And then also those are some of our member perks. And with that said, I'm going to kick it back to, As far as our demographics, who is SimpleScript for? The first and most obvious person is uninsured people. With every drug, SimpleScript is an opportunity to save. And even if you do have insurance, there are a number of scenarios where you would need to use it, whether a drug's non-formulary, if it needs a PA, if it's the beginning of the year and your deductible's high and you would like to delay that. And sometimes these cards flat out beat your copay. And then additionally, there's things like out-of-network, plan limitations, so on and so forth. Got ahead of myself.
I don't need the mic, but thank you. So anyway, to back up a little bit, I was going pretty fast. I wish I'd have told you all this before, but I think it's helpful if everybody imagines SimpleScript as the Expedia of drug discount cards. We're not a card, but we show you where to find the best deal every time. And John may have sold himself short a little bit, all these little tricks on how to save. One of the concepts that we're working with constantly is kind of the idea of having a pharmacist in your pocket. So we're a very user-centric business, and we want to find value for anybody every time they open the app. So our business model, we are a business-to-consumer company. We have 4 revenue streams. The ones that we can tap into possibly the quickest are targeted ads with pharmaceuticals, data sales with health data brokers, memberships. Once we get the rest of those features that we already have conceptualized, built in, we'll be able to have sort of a freemium model, which we may even be able to leverage into B2B partnerships with insurance companies. Down the line, we also want to orchestrate revenue sharing agreements with the card companies. That's actually the way they make their money. They have revenue sharing agreements with the PBM, so it's the same structure. If you look at this here, we kind of did a pessimistic, middle of the road, and optimistic idea of how much money we could make in a short to medium term. So least, that's really revolving around having about 10,000 monthly active users. The middle is 100,000, and the most is 1 million. We can break down those numbers some more if we need to later. So I really believe we have the right team here. John is a pharmacist. This was his idea, and one day he was telling me, and we sort of had a eureka moment together. I'm a business guy, so I can't build it. He couldn't build it. We had to bring in other people. Our mutual friend, Alan, is a great software developer, and he found us another great guy, Thomas. Thomas is our UI guy. I'm ashamed to say that I failed to include our mentors that are in the room with us that work through Innovate, and I want to say thank you to Tasha and to Brian, who have coached us along the way and given us some really great advice on how to make this a great product. In addition, we've been talking with Sam, who works with Humana Health now. He used to work for Google Brain and CERN. Then you have Leon Wong, who's been a great partner to us. We just had a conversation with him yesterday. He was leading the charge on Waymo's AI engineering most recently. Really smart dude. We need $400,000 to do a full launch of SimpleScript in early 2026. We need to refine our product a little bit and continually build a better relationship with our customers. We need to do a great deal of business development and build partnerships with people who can expand our network quickly, because our customers are going to be where we get our value. In summary, we are at the forefront of a market that's going to grow really, really fast. It's already pretty big. SimpleScript serves a real and acute need that anybody can tap into anytime. We actually launched our limited release last week, and I would encourage anybody to go check it out. We're active in Mississippi, Louisiana, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. And anybody who wants to check it out, scan the QR code. And with that, I'd love to field some questions. It's free to use, yes.
So part of your revenue model is money coming back from the cards when they're used.
Correct, yes, sir.
Why would one of those cards want to share that revenue with you when you're also representing the competition?
As we're the channel pushing customers to them. At this point, obviously, we have a very small amount of customers. We don't have any leverage, but down the road, we will. And also, we believe that we can work some of this out with the 4 smaller companies a lot more quickly. And in fact, when I built that portion of the revenue model, it's actually only accounting for agreements with the companies that rival GoodRx. I didn't even put GoodRx in there because logic states that GoodRx probably is not going to really appreciate our presence, but the others will because they bring a great value to the market that is not recognized, and we want to level the playing field that way.
How soon after you get your 400,000 are you going to be getting revenue or significant revenue?
Well, we've had some conversations with some people to help us kind of figure out when that can be. We actually had a good meeting with a large multinational pharmaceutical company this week who said that once we reach 75,000 to 100,000 customers, that's not monthly customers, it's customers, they would run ads with us. And with data sales, we had another good meeting with a medical data broker, and they told us that once we have 200,000 customers, again, that's just individual customers, not monthly active users, we can begin selling data. And then the revenue agreements, as soon as we can get one struck up with any individual card company, we could start making then. And then as far as the freemium model, as soon as we can get those additional features built in, that's when we can cut that on, and also that will open up those B2B opportunities as well.
Have like I guess like a spreading engagement feature to increase, to get to that number quickly. So for instance, like on top of whatever it is, they're saving additional 5–10%, and they can even get that. They share it with friends, essentially just to kind of ramp up really quickly.
He's asking if we could maybe kind of incentivize users to share SimpleScript with other people. That, we need to think about that more. Just off the top of my head, I don't think we could do that because we are not offering those deals. We are pointing people to them. But there may be a way to leverage that idea. It's a good question.
It sounds like there's a fairly complicated data set behind what you're building. In other words, pricing data across many pharmacies and then pairing that with the discounts from many different cards. How are you approaching, and that's potentially changing over time. Pricing this week might be different next week. How are you approaching controlling that data so that it's accurate?
Well, so he asked, how do we manage just this vast amount of complex data? And the way we do that is our goal is to have API sharing agreements with each of these companies. We actually just struck up our first one this week. It was fully executed yesterday. We are having a meeting with another one of the companies, hopefully this week, could be next week, to hopefully strike up the same agreement. So when we can plug APIs together, we have a meeting, our tech guys have a conversation, they figure out the best way to do it, and it will live update. So with that particular card, the live updates could begin as early as Friday. But in the meantime, we can scrape data. And actually, some of the data that we have in there now, just being scrappy, we manually input it, but it will all be live updating. And we can update it as often as we need to. But thank you for the question.
How hard is it to get other, like, discount cards? Is there a significant difference in the price?
Yeah, there can be, and that's really where our value proposition is. And in fact, I'd like John to elaborate on that for a few seconds.
Sure, I'll kick it back to some of the drugs we used. I'll get back to this slide. So yeah, kind of within that win rate slide, the difference can be sometimes $50 to $100 with this drug right here. Oh. Sorry. This drug is generic Entresto. You can see it's up to 90% off using a card called Single Care, which I'm sure most people have never heard of. But and actually in this example with this basket, GoodRx wasn't used a single time. But the savings, it just really depends on the drug. If it's a cheap drug, not a drastic amount of savings between cards. But if it's something like an EpiPen, it can be sometimes a difference between $200 or $144. I got excited just now.
John, try to keep it to 30 seconds or less. It's a very complicated question.
I'll show you the graph.
He's been waiting for this one.
Oh, yeah. So basically, we'll take a drug called like a Z-Pack that most people have seen before. There's this number called AWP, or average wholesale price. And for that in particular drug, right now it's about $40 to $45. That is not what any of these companies actually purchase it for. They will purchase it for generally around $5 or $6, but they use this AWP to set that cash paying price. So whenever a cash Z-Pack is $40 and one of these cards gives it to you for $15, the pharmacy isn't really out that much money. What these card companies do is they work with what's called a pharmacy benefits manager, and they go in and analyze all the different deals and see how much this pharmacy and this network is actually reimbursing for this given drug, and that's how they set that price. That's just one of the methods they do. But and it just varies by networks, who has agreements with who. These card companies all have different networks they're plugged into.
Lots of middlemen.
Yes.
So your customer base are uninsured patients.
He asked who our customer base is, uninsured. Uninsured patients will save money every time they use SimpleScript. Insured people also can save money using SimpleScript. I have pretty good insurance, and I've saved money several times already using SimpleScript myself. And then there's also those people who are classified under underinsured, which is a huge number of people. In fact, I was reading metrics for this, and you're considered underinsured if your deductible is 5% or more than your annual income, or there's certain also metrics for the copays. But anyway, a lot of the time, even if you're insured, your insurance isn't covering your drugs. You should use SimpleScript.
Yeah, so users, when they have a membership, they'll be allowed to set a preferred pharmacy. Like if you have one you just go to or insist on going to. What that default setting is geared more towards like if we were in urgent care, or like if you're at a fast pace and just getting some medicines today and you didn't have insurance, you could see where to go. But regardless of where you go, you can always tap into that pharmacy and see like, oh, if I don't have insurance, this is what I need to use. Or even if it beats your copay, there's still a chance for savings.
I'd add
anybody.
one thing to that is that you can go and change the pharmacy that you're sending your medicine to. When you're thinking about tech, everybody uses the word friction. It's a little bit of friction there, but if you really are dead set, sometimes it can save you $100, $200, $300, and it's worth making a couple phone calls.
About weekly. Yeah, it's fine.
Thanks, everybody.
Can we get one more?
We'll talk.